Welcome to the Raising Confident Girls podcast, your guide to raising strong, confident daughters. I'm Melissa Jones, the founder of Girls Positivity Club and a teacher for over 20 years. In a world where girls often feel overwhelmed, anxious, and confused, this podcast is your go-to space. As caregivers, we navigate challenges together. I founded Girls Positivity Club to provide a place where you belong and get the tools to face today's hurdles. Consider this your regular check-in with a trusted friend, offering insights and practical tips for meaningful conversations. I'm here to help you feel confident on this journey of raising a generation of empowered girls. Let's dive in and raise those confident girls together. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Raising Confident Girls. I am so happy you're here today. This is our last episode in our Back to School series, and I thought that the most fitting way that we could end this three-part series is by talking about what you can say to your daughter that would make her feel really empowered, confident, loved, seen, all the things that we know that girls need to hear. And some of these things, I'm sure you're going to be like, oh yeah, I know that, but it's good. I know whenever I hear something, it's a good reminder to do those things because it's really easy for us to get busy in our day-to-day lives and to forget to say some of these things that we think that they already know. And it just feels good to get that encouragement, especially from the people that we're closest to. So I hope that this episode is really helpful for you because one of the things that a lot of parents ask me is, what do I say? What are the best things that I can say to my daughter to make her feel loved and connected and good and supported and all those things that we want our girls to feel. So whether it's your daughter, your niece, all the girls in your life, even if you are a mentor to girls, these are really helpful for any time of year, but especially as they're transitioning back to school. So, when we start the beginning of a school year, it's really, like I said, easy to get caught in the hustle and bustle of it, of getting the supplies, of getting everything in place, doing the tours, doing all the logistical things. And then we think in the beginning, like, oh, they don't need emotional support yet because nothing's really happened. But these are simple and powerful and proven ways to build connection because they are the words that you say to your daughter. And a lot of times these become part of her little voice inside that she hears either herself or you saying. So because, as we've mentioned in the other two episodes, if you've not watched them, please go back and listen to the previous two episodes, the one on friendships and starting a new school year, and then just general confidence things with helping your daughter transition back to school. And as a reminder, before we get too deep, the best way that you can help grow this show and community and to help other parents and caregivers of girls is to send this episode or the show in general to them. That would just mean the world. And really, it's a ripple effect that we want to create in Girls Positivity Club and in this podcast is to help empower and impact in a positive way as many families and girls as we can. So words matter. As we know, the sticks and stones may break their bones, but words will never hurt me really doesn't apply anymore because I can tell you firsthand that words have been some of the most cutting things that have hurt me in my life and have damaged my self-esteem. And so we want to be proactive about it. There's always a way. There's always time to rewire that inner thinking and that self-talk that our daughters tell themselves and that they hear from us. And so I hope that these phrases are really helpful for you because these are ways that we can help her feel seen, supported, and steady, especially in a beginning of a school year, in a transition, because she can be feeling nervous, excited, comparison, pressure. She wants to build connection. And these are the words that your daughter will really need to hear. So phrase number one is, it's okay to feel a mix of things, and it doesn't mean you're not ready. So I think sometimes whenever we're starting something new or whenever we're transitioning into a new season of life or a new time in our lives, like as girls, as young women, as women, this is really important to say, is that it's okay to feel a mix of things. Many girls, as I've said in previous episodes, are feeling both excited and nervous, or both excited and fill in the blank. Or maybe it's not excited. Maybe it's they don't really want summer to end. They just feel like, I heard this from a girl last week, is like, I just feel like school's the thing I have to do. And they're not really feeling excited. They're just feeling kind of meh about it, kind of blah about it. And they just want to get it over with or get it started. But they are looking forward to a certain aspect of school. So oftentimes it can be a mix of feelings. There can be a sadness that summer is ending, because they know that they have to get back into kind of that grind of school. And so this phrase of it's okay to feel a mix of things, and it doesn't mean you're not ready for school. It doesn't mean, I mean, is anyone really ready to give up their summer freedom when you're a kid and when you're at any age and growing up? Like, no, you don't want it to end. It's kind of like with adults, like vacations. In theory, you want a vacation to go on forever, but that's not what's going to happen. So it's okay to feel a mix of things. It helps her normalize that being in this kind of in between of feelings is okay. And she doesn't have to doubt herself because she's not as psyched up about it as maybe her friends are. Maybe all of her friends like can't wait and they're so excited. And she's like, I'm not really feeling that, or whatever the case may be. It can cause her to feel a little bit of self-doubt. And so just reassuring her of that it's okay to have a mix of feelings in any kind of situation. Even when you're getting ready to do something exciting, it can be a mix of feelings. And so a mix of feelings does not mean that it's a bad thing. It doesn't mean anything's necessarily wrong. It just can be, you can feel a lot of ways at the same time. And, she, by you saying this, is going to learn that it doesn't mean that everything that you're ready for feels perfect. So especially when you're leveling up. So if it's in a sport, if it's in dance, if it's in art, anytime you're leveling up, maybe you're doing a debate team, maybe you're doing something just for the first time, maybe you're trying a club and you're like, I don't know if I'll like it. I'm excited for it, but I don't know for sure. It's like, it doesn't mean that you're not ready for it. It just means that you're getting ready to do something new, or you're getting ready to up level, and it feels uncomfortable. And that's how growth feels. And that's okay. It's supposed to. You can be both excited and nervous. You can be both this and that. And it just means that you're having courage by showing up and doing the thing anyway. And so it's totally normal to feel both feelings. You don't have to pick just one feeling today. So maybe a part of your check-in as you go to school, in the car, in the morning, at nighttime, maybe you're like, what's your feeling that you want to feel tomorrow or today? If it's the night before or if it's the morning of, what's something you want to feel today? And just see what she says. And then you can have a conversation about it. And also knowing that she can pick a couple of words and she can talk about those things. And it's totally okay. What you're doing by saying it's normal to have a mix of feelings is you are reminding her that bravery isn't about having zero fear. It's about showing up with all the feelings and still moving forward anyway. And this is a perfect opportunity for you to share an experience in your life where you had a mix of feelings and you pushed through it and it ended up being a positive thing. Or if it didn't end up being positive, like obviously not dwelling on that, but just maybe using it as a learning experience and being like, I pushed myself to do this and it felt uncomfortable and I blah, 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 whatever the case would be. But I learned this. So it's not to create more fear in her. So if you have a very fearful type of daughter, like anytime you talk about something that went wrong, it like triggers her into a spiral. Don't do that. Maybe give her a different type of example. But I also think it's important for us to be real with them and to just share those moments of our lives. And then it shows them that we can relate to them and that it's normal to feel that way. And because I think sometimes they put us on a pedestal. So whether you're an auntie, a cousin, friend of your daughters, or not your daughter, but you have friends who have daughters that you like mentor, whatever the case would be, or if it's your own daughter, normalizing that you've had these feelings too makes them feel like they aren't alone and that it is normal and that they are seen and you do get them. And that's ultimately what it is helping them feel supported and connected to as many positive people as possible. So that's number one. It's okay to have a mix of feelings or to feel a mix of things. It doesn't mean you're not ready. So that's number one. Number two is you don't have to be perfect. Just be open and kind. And I think that oftentimes the early school days often comes with pressure to make a good impression. And this really can set her up to feel like she has to be perfect or she has to always be on top of everything. And especially if she's a high achieving student, it can make her feel like that she has to be a certain way and can't ever make a mistake. And I've heard from parents all the time, especially of perfectionistic kids, is that they've never put that pressure on them. They didn't think, like, if they did, it was unintentional. So I don't think there's ever a parent who's like, oh, I really want to create a child who thinks they have to be perfect all the time. Sometimes it's just like an internal thing that they develop over time because they maybe are praised when they do things perfectly, or maybe they just feel better when they don't make mistakes, which who doesn't? But I think it's so important for us to make sure that they know that being open to new experiences that are good for them. Now, obviously, I'm not talking about unhealthy risks, and to be kind in a way that is maybe imperfect, like inviting someone to sit with you who maybe isn't in your friend group and that could be seen as socially whatever, like, oh, most people don't talk to this person. So if I invite them to come and join us, then I'll be seen as weird or this or that. And it's like, no, that's being open to other people and who are going to be positive or who just need a friend is really a positive way to be. And that doesn't mean that you're not seen as who you are and real and all those things. Like, you don't have to be perceived as like a perfect person. And it shifts her focus from proving herself to others and having to be this good student and this certain type of this kind of person, to knowing that being open to connecting with people and being kind to others is a superpower. And so it's almost like, too, letting her know that she doesn't have to have the perfect outfit. She doesn't have to say all the right things. She just has to be kind to herself and to others and be open to meeting new people that will feel safe around her, and being that, like we talked about in the last episode, is like being that person, being that friend to other people, being unapologetic and unafraid to show who you truly are, even if it isn't perfect, is really powerful. And I think that sometimes with girls too, we can see kindness as overly emphasized. And that means that they're not assertive and they don't stand up for themselves. But that's not really what it means. It's like, yes, of course, I want all people to be kind. And unfortunately, that's not always going to be the case. But helping her know that even if she makes a mistake and she is perceived in one moment a certain way, it's okay. And that that doesn't have to define who she is. And that it's okay also if not everybody likes her. And that was the hardest thing for me as a people pleaser to accept, is that not everybody's going to like you. And it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. It also doesn't mean that you're perfect. I mean, there can be flaws that people see in you that they don't like, and that's also okay. So it's like knowing that you can lead with authenticity and being yourself instead of perfectionism, and people will still accept you for who you are. And most importantly, you have to love who you are becoming and who you are showing up as yourself. And so just helping her see that kindness creates confidence, and there's no other way around, like giving yourself the grace and knowing that you can do things that are imperfect, and that's okay. And it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong, and it doesn't mean that you have to be perceived in a certain way. And that if people are going to talk about you, because I heard this from the high school girls, if you several episodes back, heard them talk about, it's like they talked about wasting so much time of putting on this perception, not in a fake way, but just like trying to make everybody like them. And they lost a little bit of who they were, or they spent too much energy worrying about what people thought of them, because if they did things imperfectly, then they felt like there was a spotlight on them and that people judged them for it and this and that. And so it's just reminding her that you don't have to be perfect. Just be open to learning and making mistakes, growing from them, and always come back to kindness, but also not at the expense of yourself, like making sure that you're also being true to you and saying what you need to say, but doing it always out of kindness and as much as you can, learning from mistakes that you make and focusing on those things that are really valuable and important to you. The third phrase is, if anything feels off, I want you to tell me, even if you think it's small. So building this even at a really young age of like, if something feels off to you, I want you to be able to tell me. So an example that I had was a girl told me in the summer, and this doesn't have to be anything dangerous, but like she said that she met a new friend, and this was outside of camp, but she met a new friend in the neighborhood, and they were playing at one of their pools. Like they were fortunate enough to have a pool, and they were playing in the pool, and the girl like talked nicely to her and acted nice, but then every once in a while she would mock her, and she would do it in a very unexpected way. Like it just would come out and she would just mock, like mimic her in like a baby voice. And it was like, it felt off to her. She was like, wait a minute, she's acting nice and she's saying nice things, but then randomly she'll just do kind of an off kind of behavior. And so she said that she told her mom about it because she likes the girl and she wants to continue to hang out, but she doesn't know if this is a sign that there's something off in the friendship, or if it's just maybe something that the girl does because she thinks it's funny or what it is. But they had just met, so she didn't want to really draw attention to it yet until it became more of a problem. And then her mom was navigating like, okay, when do I tell her that she should say something to the girl, or she should check in, or something like that. So we don't want our girls to be afraid to even tell the person that something feels off. But most importantly, we want them to have a safe adult that they can go to. So whether it's you, whether it's someone in their circle, and hopefully both, but it's like, that may seem like a small thing that this girl is like mocking her and mimicking her when she thought the friendship was going well, but still say it. That way she's not holding on to it. She's able to release it and talk about it and process through it with you. And especially as a new school year is bringing about a lot of change, whether it's a new classroom, which they're all going to have, new people in their classes, new teachers, new friends, new challenges. This keeps the door open early that they can say something to you before it gets too big. So sometimes girls will say that, well, I didn't want to say anything because that wasn't that big of a deal, but it still bothered me. It's like, no, go ahead and tell me early if something is small, whatever it is. And then as the school year goes on, it won't have to be as big of a deal for them to bring up, because one thing that girls tell me oftentimes is that all these small things have been happening all along in a friendship or in a classroom or whatever. And these aren't like extreme things. These aren't like bullying or abuse or anything dangerous. Obviously have that conversation too, because there are times when there are emergency things that they need to tell you straight away. And then other times when there are just like little things that are coming up. Like I felt like my stomach was hurting a little bit right before I was taking a test. And I felt really nervous when this happened, or this girl in class is doing this, or I am not sure how to ask for help. Saying something before it gets really big is really important. And building that habit and that muscle of talking to you about things that are small is really important because you can say something like, sometimes things can feel a little off at first, like something doesn't sit right with you. And if that ever happens, I want you to tell me, even if you're not sure why, because when there would be something big coming up, like they would already have built that habit in. And I think this is why there are those check-ins that are so important, is those regular check-ins. And not that you're looking or fishing for things that are wrong all the time, or you're trying to pull things out of them, but you're providing that consistent space, and you saying out loud to them, bring it up, even if it's small, helps them. Because even if they say it out loud and they just needed to get it out so they don't hold on to the small thing, like my friend said something today that kind of hurt my feelings, but it wasn't big enough to say anything, but it just still hurt my feelings. Or yeah, whatever it would be, them sharing it when it's small is a very powerful way to check in and to let them know that it doesn't have to be a big thing to share. And one thing that I'm a big advocate of too, especially as girls are getting older, is having like a written communication too. So whether this is text or in a notebook or whatever, like obviously verbal is the best, but passing a notebook back and forth is a fun way to connect and just check in with each other. But I always caution, like, don't tell them that it's only for big things, because like if anything's ever wrong, just write it in this notebook. Because I had a parent who did that one time. The girl was like, I wanted to tell my mom something, but it wasn't like a big thing. So I didn't write it down and I didn't know how to bring it up. So it's like, it doesn't have to be in a notebook. It doesn't have to be a text. It doesn't have to be a certain way. It just has to be a way that you consistently check in with them. And you might have different ways that you do to where they can bring up those small things. So just assuring her that she doesn't need to wait for a big meltdown to talk, or she doesn't have to wait for a big thing to happen to talk. She's allowed to bring you in the in-between stuff too. And a lot of times that is more important than waiting until something gets bigger. And so that third phrase is, if anything feels off, I want you to tell me, even if you think it's small. So phrase number 4 is, remember what you've already done that makes you proud. So a new grade and a new school year can make girls sometimes doubt their abilities, even if they're a confident girl. This can remind her of her own wins. So reminding her of how far she's come. I'm a big advocate for reminding kids, and girls especially, of their effort and their progress, because it's so easy. I know I'm guilty of it myself. It's like, oh, I didn't do this thing. And it's like, look how far you've come. Look at all the steps you've taken to even get to this point. Because once you're leveling up and once you're making bigger moves, or you are going into something totally new and unexpected, you can sometimes forget what you've done along the way. And I think in a new school year is especially true of this for girls, is like, you need to feel proud of what you've done in the past, because that has fueled where you're going now. So it's like thinking about something hard that you've done before. So sometimes when they're having a hard time, when they're like, why is this hard? Like, I've done this math class before and this just feels harder. Or I've never done this before. I don't even know where to start. Or I don't understand anything that I'm reading. So I had a girl talk about that. She was like, I started this science class and I felt so lost. I didn't understand anything they were talking about. And I felt too embarrassed to raise my hand in class. So I went home and I told my mom, and she learned it. Like, my mom learned it with me and then did it in a way that I understood. And it's not that, I mean, obviously I'm a former teacher. I'm a really big believer in letting teachers know when things are small, kind of like that last phrase is like, let them know before it gets too big. And sometimes you don't know though. Like, the girl was telling me, she was like, I thought I was actually fine. And then I sat down, I was like, oh no, I don't understand any of this. So it's like reminding her of, because she's already overcome that, the girl I'm describing, she now does understand it and she's now overcome that. So it's like, if something like that comes up again, or even if it's a friendship thing, even if it's a classes thing, even if it's an after school or it's a something that comes up that's totally new, reminding her, even if it's not directly related, of how far she's come and how she overcame that other thing. So even again, if it's something that happened in the summer where you're like, look at how brave you were. You went on that adventure zip lining course. You had never done that before in your life. You had never climbed the rock wall, and look what you did at camp. You had never ridden a horse, and you were so scared to even just put your foot in the stirrup. And then by the end of the camp, you were riding and you were this and you're that, or whatever the case would be. You met a new friend at camp. Like, I can't tell you how many girls, this is like my favorite takeaway from camp, how many girls were like, I can't believe I met so many new friends. It's like they would have never met had they not come to Girls Positivity Club camp. And that makes me so happy because they had such a great time together. They connected, they met new people, they branched out of their usual friend group. And so, yeah, just reminding her of something that happened in the summer or in the previous school year, or just sometime in her life where she overcame something or she has come so far. So just reminding her that that past pride can help her grow in the future. And so it's helping her reconnect with her inner evidence of that. So past growth is the most trustworthy predictor of her continuing on, growing, having that future success in whatever she's doing. And reminding her of that and having her name some things that have made her proud in the past. And if she can't do it, helping her come up with ideas, and that will really help her feel good about where she's going, even if it feels uncomfortable in the moment. So phrase 4 is remember what you've already done that makes you proud, and use that for your fuel moving forward. I kind of added that last part in. And then the final phrase, phrase 5, is even, I love saying this to kids, and I know you do as a parent, as a caregiver, even when I'm not with you, I'm cheering you on. So you may think, well, duh, they know that. They know I'm behind them. They know I believe in them. But there's something powerful about saying it out loud. Even when I'm not with you, I'm cheering you on. And even if they roll their eyes and say it's cheesy or cringy or whatever the word is, going back to school often means you have longer stretches apart. So if you're fortunate enough even to have spent a little bit of extra time with your daughter, with your kids this summer, there is, even if they're very independent, even if they're older, there is this stretch of time where it just feels like you were together more than you usually are. And then when they go back to school, it's like you have longer stretches apart from each other. So this phrase just reinforces that even when you're not together, you're cheering them on. Even when you're not together, you believe in them. And even if they say, I know mom, or I know dad, or I know auntie, whatever it is, keep saying it because we can't say it enough. It becomes a lasting inner voice that she can carry with her. So knowing that she has people behind her cheering her on, and knowing that she can do that for herself too. So saying something like, even when you don't see me, I'm thinking of you. I'm cheering you on. I'm your biggest fan every step of the way. Even when you don't do things perfectly, even when whatever happens, I am always behind you and I'm always cheering you on. I'm always here for you. So just letting her know that that love and support doesn't disappear when she walks out the door. They go with her. So even if that's, even the older girls say they like getting a note in their lunchbox, or if they don't take a lunchbox, you can send them a text if they're teenagers and they have a phone. You can just say, I just wanted to let you know, you don't have to respond, but I just want to let you know that I love you. I believe in you. I'm always cheering you on. I'm always here for you. And so every once in a while, even my teenage son, I have sent this kind of a text to him before, and he's like, thank you so much, Mom. I really appreciate it. I love you so much. And he is not an overly person who says those things to me like out loud. I mean, we're close, but he also likes his independence. He likes to feel independent. And so with me leaving him a little note here and there or sending him a text, it really has gone miles with him because he needs that reinforcement, even if he acts like he doesn't. And it's especially important with girls. So I think that even as adults, like, we need to hear that there are other people cheering us on. And I will say this so many times, but teaching our girls, especially, to be their own cheerleaders is so, so important, and to cheer other girls on and cheer other women on. But when we also say, hey, just as a reminder, I'm in your corner, I'm always here for you, I'm cheering you on, is such a powerful phrase to say at the beginning of a school year, and always, I think, throughout the school year as well. So the beginning of a school year is full of possibilities. I've always loved the beginning of year because it just feels like such a fresh start, but it can also be full of feelings, and your daughter doesn't need the perfect words, the perfect timing. I've said the wrong words at the wrong time. I've also said the perfect words at a perfect time. I've also been everywhere in between. So I always say I'm not a perfect parent or a perfect person. Neither is your daughter, neither are you. And that's what's beautiful, is that we can always come back together. It's never too late. It's never too early. There's always the right time, and that's right now, to say these things to your daughters and the girls in your life. She just needs you to keep showing up for her, no matter what role you play. And I want you to try one of these phrases today, whether you're starting a new school year, you've already started, or you still have a ways to go, or even if you're in the middle of the school year and you're listening to this at a different time. Text it, say it in the car, even if they roll their eyes, even if they're like, I know, it's okay. And just giving them that level of support is so, so important. So try one of these, write it on a sticky note, text it, say it in the car, like I said, and one of them is going to land and make a real difference. So tell me on Instagram at Girls Positivity Club, or send me a message at Girls Positivity Club at Gmail. Any social media, it's always Girls Positivity Club, and let me know which phrase you used, because you never know what a few heartfelt words can do. And until next time, keep encouraging those girls in your life. And I hope you have a great beginning of school year and a great week ahead. Thanks for joining another empowering episode of the Raising Confident Girls podcast. Share today's insights with caregivers and friends, building beautiful relationships with strong girls. Hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. We're not just a podcast, we're a community. Follow Girls Positivity Club on social media for more empowering content on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. This podcast empowers you, supporting incredible girls. Let's create strong, beautiful relationships with the girls in our lives. I appreciate you listening today. Stay confident, stay connected. Until next time, keep raising those confident girls. You've got this.